I started thinking, oh, those gunshots, and I went over by the living room window and I saw flashing lights. I pick up my iTouch and I go outside and I just start recording immediately, you know, 12, 14, no more than 18 seconds after the man had been shot. And so, so I see one of the officers jump back in his black cop car and turn back to the other side of the street. And then he gets out and they start arguing, and I'm recording, and I walk over and I see the body in the alley. There's already immediately, the guy must have been surrounded by 10 cops or more, maybe, that I couldn't have seen further up on the north side. But within 1 minute, there was at least 40 cops on the scene, and about 5-6 minutes later, there was at least 60. The man was definitely dead very quickly. I saw his body personally. Couldn't have been more than 1 minute after the shots had finished. There was at least 12 shots, I'd say 12 to 14. Two other people who actually eyewitnessed part of it, they say about 14 shots. Another man said about 20. I recorded him saying that, but there was some echoing, so I think it was about 12 to 14. And the man did not move. I didn't see him handcuffed. I know some people were saying that the police had handcuffed him after they shot him and left him like that. That might be true. I recorded him very early. If he had, I couldn't identify it. It didn't quite look like it to me, but maybe he was handcuffed. Somebody had said it was a rumor or something from some cop that the man supposedly had body armor, so I'd like to clarify that. If he had body armor he was holding, maybe that's the case and I never saw it. I saw his body a minute afterwards. I saw his material shirt halfway folded up his body as he was laying there like this, and I did not identify any kind of body armor on him. I didn't see any weapons on the guy. Now that doesn't mean the guy who got shot dead tonight didn't. I don't know if he had a knife or gun. I didn't identify that. I didn't see it. But he was definitely dead very instantly. The medics were there, I'd say, about 6 minutes afterwards, between 4 and 8 minutes. Somebody had said about 20 minutes later, and that's not correct. To me, the medics seemed to be on scene very quickly. They went to his body with a stretcher. They didn't put him on it. They got down. I saw them check him out for, you know, a minute and a half or two, and they got up and walked away. It was very evident that everybody there in agreement was that he was dead. And for me, visually watching, I would say he was very much dead. There was no movement at all, which is sad. So one of the officers had, I guess, part of the argument or discussion they were having was over one of the officers, I guess, only fired 4 or 5 shots, supposedly. There was definitely more shots fired than that, so maybe one officer fired that many. Now, I do not know if the so-called suspect had a gun or if he fired or not. Somebody else definitely fired another weapon. If it was another cop, probably. If it was him, maybe. I don't know.
Can you talk about what you said about them shooting over the traffic?
What's that?
What you said about them firing over the traffic.
Okay, all right. Now this part, I'm an audio witness to the whole thing and a visual witness starting seconds after the shooting. I talked to 2 other people who were visual witnesses of one of the officers shooting. So it's just handed down information. I just don't like to lie, but it's from my neighbors. So this is what they actually saw. They saw the officer turn on Constitution facing east, going about 60, they said, that's their words, and he slammed on the brakes and got out of the car, and the cop car was still slightly skidding. He gets out of the car, drawn the weapon, firing, and they said it looked very unprofessional. Now again, I didn't see that. But there was civilians, other people in their cars, and that were right around the firing, and the cars distance-wise were between the officer, they said, and the man who received the bullets or whatnot. And so that was a dangerous situation. Of course, I did not witness that myself, so I'm definitely not trying to put down any party. That definitely is a dangerous situation, of course. So, but
there were some reports that there was someone injured and taken away in an ambulance. Did you see an ambulance?
Okay, now I did see several ambulances here. I never saw them leave in a hurry. I never saw them to carry anyone away, and when they left, they did not leave with their lights on. They drove away normally, so I would say no. Now here's what I heard, and here's something else I saw. As soon as I came out, there was instantly almost 40 cops here within a minute. But then almost half of them got in their cop cars and zipped up the road about 3 or 4 more blocks up there.
Shooting down there.
It almost looked like yeah, up west
Constitution,
right,
Western Constitution,
yeah, West Constitution, west of San Mateo. It looked almost as if there was another shooting up there. Now I do want to clarify. I don't like to exaggerate anything. I didn't hear, I didn't identify, and I didn't walk down there, but there was a huge mess of cop cars up there. Why they were there, I don't know. I heard somebody say there may have been a second guy. Maybe there was, I don't know. I didn't hear or see anything to lead me to believe there was, but visually looking at the cops up there, that's a possibility, absolutely. And what happened there, I would have no idea.
Did you see the cops interviewing eyewitnesses and arguing with eyewitnesses?
Okay, the cops definitely didn't interview any of us. As 2 people were visual eyewitnesses, and then there's another 4 of us who were already on scene who were audio eyewitnesses to the entire thing. The only thing they were telling us is to get back. I felt a little intimidated by 2 of them. One of them I'm pretty sure is going to come up and tell me to stop filming, because I was filming it all, but another officer came up and like held him back. I would say most of the cops seem professional, not that I interacted with them. 2 of the cops, absolutely, I would say no, not professional. It did not make them look good. And I went out there assuming, you know, APDs are good guys, you know, but then the way those officers, they didn't interview, they just wanted to go away, don't look. And oh, here's the thing with the argument over the shot. So one of the men, my neighbors, who visually witnessed one of the officers shooting, he could not get a visual to see the man take the bullets or go down or die because there was a brick wall. But where the officer was, he saw him. That officer started arguing immediately over how many shots were fired, trying to say it was just 4 or 5 or whatever. And then that man, who was an eyewitness, started saying, I heard about 14, I heard about 14, I heard about 14. And after a little bit, I had to walk up and say, I heard no less than 12. And my mother had even said, when it happened, she said it sounded like a machine gun. Obviously, she didn't really know what she talked about, a machine gun. But that's what she said. And then the other neighbor came out and said there was like 14, and by then the cops stopped arguing. And I think they realized we're not going to get away with downplaying it, you know. And I can say it was at least 12, I'd say 14. Another neighbor who lives behind me, he came up, I interviewed him. He said he heard about 20. I think he heard some echoing. I don't think it was quite 20. So I would lean on 12 to 14. But
the cops have never asked you for your name?
Not a name, not what I saw, nothing at all. And I stood there for 35 minutes. I recorded about 25 minutes out of 35 minutes. And they were not interested in speaking to any of us. They did not talk to any of us except to argue with 2 of the people, one of them an eyewitness, one of them an audio witness. And they were arguing with what the eyewitness heard and saw, which is ridiculous. You don't argue with a witness. We're not even saying if the cops are in the right or in the wrong. I mean, if the guy had a gun shooting at the cops, I can understand. So, but the main point is you know, a witness is a witness. The truth needs to come out. The other people a lot of times are bad guys. Sometimes the cop's in the wrong. It goes both ways. And just the truth needs to come out, and eventually, hopefully in court, in public hearing, we'll know what happened. So maybe no cop was at fault, maybe cop was. If the guy did not have a gun, this is just my opinion, I think the shooting was excessive. Just a personal opinion. If he did have a gun, then I don't feel I'm in a position to say fairly. So I'll leave that. But if it turns out he didn't have a gun, you can put me on statement that it sounded excessive, ridiculous. So
thanks, Patrick.
And just one more.